Welcome to Brown in the City. This is Shantae.
And this is Letitia. And today our topic is going to be, when kids break the law, should their parents pay the price? So I know this is a touchy subject because obviously everybody's not going to agree on this, but do you feel like parents should pay the price when their kids break the law? Me personally, I feel like they shouldn't, but I also think that it depends on the circumstances. For instance, if it's a parent that's always there doing what they need to do as a parent, and their child decides that they want to go in another direction and do whatever, then no, I don't agree that they should be penalized if their kid decides to go out and act like a clown or act like they don't have sense. But if it's a parent that literally, like, they're not disciplining their children when they know that they're doing certain things and it's a consistent behavior and they kind of allow it to keep happening, and the child get arrested or get in trouble or whatever the case, they probably should be penalized in some sort of way. Now, I'm not saying that I think they should be arrested, but I don't know if it's like a form of counseling or volunteer work or something. I do feel like, depending on the circumstances, the parent should be responsible. How you feel about that?
You know, as far as the parents getting in trouble due to the fact that their child went out and did whatever, no, I don't think that they should. Mm-hmm. You know, like I said, it is parents. You have parents that's two parents in a household, mm-hmm. you know, that's doing the best. Their kids have everything. And I just believe that these teens, they want to do what they want to do. They think that they're grown, okay? They're around their peers that's doing the same thing. They want to be popular. They want to fit in the crowd. And it's just like monkey see, monkey do. Mm-hmm. You know, like they're not leading their own self. They're being followers. Mm-hmm. And I believe that plays a big factor in these children's behaviors. Mm-hmm. They're not comfortable in their own skin. They're trying to prove a point, you know, that, you know, they can be tough. They can do this. And yeah, I just feel as though the parents should not be held accountable.
Because I know parents that could do the best they can.
Yeah.
Parents do the best they can, and they still have these children that go out and do God knows what. Mm-hmm. They can care less about the consequences that would be brought on their parents or them. They could care less. So there was actually an incident that just happened where there was a group of kids that was just like going through people's neighborhood, and whatever car that they could find open, they was going through the cars and they were robbing them or whatever. So they actually got caught. The leader of the group, he, I guess, already had charges against him for previous criminal acts, but they was literally going through people's cars, stealing whatever that was in there, whether it was money, credit cards, whatever they had in there, they were stealing it, and they was like doing this regularly, like this was like their thing. So something like that, I mean, obviously, I don't think a parent should be penalized for that. Now, if it's like something where your child is like 15, 16, mm-hmm. and they're outside at 2 a.m. and 3 a.m., it's like, okay, and they live with you, that's a little hard, because I know kids could just be hard-headed. Some kids are just out of this world, like they just do what they want to do. But as a parent, your child shouldn't be outside at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. Like, and they shouldn't feel comfortable doing that either.
Absolutely, yeah. I look at that. They are minors. Mm-hmm. 15, 16, 17, they are minors, mm-hmm. okay? Parents are making sure they have a roof over their head. Where else are they sleeping? Mm-hmm. So if they're under your roof and they are minors, as a parent, yes, sometimes it is hard because every child is different, but teachings is definitely from the home. It starts from the home, and it has to be a consistent basis. Mm-hmm. It can't be you checking book bags, checking this and that, and then you just stop. Or you take something away from your kid and then you give it back to them an hour or two later. No, it has to be consistency.
Definitely.
When you're literally admonishing your children and making sure, hey, they're on that straight path. It comes from the home. Yes, some parents are not able to be home 24/7 because they're working. Mm-hmm. they have lives, but at the end of the day, it's about also communicating with your children, asking them probing questions. Who is your friends? What's their names? Where are they from? You know, getting in contact with their parents. You know, so everyone can be on the same page of what their child or children are doing. You know, so yeah, it's tough.
Is key. Consistency is key, and I know it's hard because us as adults, like she said, we have a lot going on. We work, we gotta come home, clean, go to appointments. It's so much surrounding being a parent, but being a parent and disciplining your children and staying consistent with their behaviors and things that they got going on in their life is very crucial, because if you don't, things happen like this. You could be the best parent in the world, but sometimes kids just go their own way. And I mean, it's very unfortunate for any parent that did their best and feel like they raised their child right and they decided to go in another direction. So that's why I feel like parents shouldn't be penalized, because although we do raise our children and they decide to go out and do something, I feel like, why should the parent have to be penalized for something that a child knows better and know that they shouldn't be doing? And they do it. Like, they need to get the punishment. That's just the bottom line. They need to get the punishment. Now, if it's something that they see their parents doing, that's a little different. And we can touch on that, because if a parent is constantly doing something and they learn that behavior and then they go out and do the same thing, the environment. So a lot of times the parent should take the blame for it. To be arrested for a crime that your child commit, to me, is a little extra. Unless it is one case. Okay, like a gun, for instance. If you know you have a gun in the house and it's not locked up or anything like that, and your child decides that they want to go out and do something to someone, then a case like that, I would say that the parent should get some kind of punishment, because there's no way that child should have had access. Even though they know better, they should not have had access to do that, to take a gun out the house, period. They shouldn't have access to the gun. It shouldn't be in their sight.
Absolutely.
So it is some cases where I would say, okay, the parent is responsible, because it shouldn't be that. It shouldn't be a gun in their sight. And it is no different from having drugs around them or smoking anything around them. Like, you can't smoke around your children and expect them not to smoke.
Yeah. Definitely setting the example for your children. Your children know their environment from when you bring them home from the hospital up until child, adolescent, teenage years. So when they're in different types of environments, they're going to think, hey, it's okay. Like, you know, my parents are doing it. I see my dad or my mom walking around with a gun or whatever, and they take it out the house. It's cool to do. And like I said, it's just setting an example in your household and raising your child a good way. Now, granted, you do have some children that have mental challenges, okay? And we're going to touch on that as well. Touching back on children that has mental challenges, okay? They, you know, may have mental issues that their parents literally try to, you know, take them to seek help. Some parents hide their child's mental illness.
Or some parents don't know.
Or some parents don't know. So my thing is, you know, if a child that does have mental challenges and go out and commit crime, is it treatment or punishment? Do you feel as though, hey, the parent should push that child to get rehabilitated, you know, seek help? But some parents are embarrassed about that. Some parents are embarrassed to hear the word therapist, and it's nothing wrong with that. And I feel as though some parents don't take their child to see a therapist because they look at it as negative. Embarrassment. If you take your children to seek therapy, listen, some adults may need therapy just to let it out.
Yeah,
if you start like in that direction, helping your child mentally, because beating a child, cussing a child out, that's not helping. That's not going to help.
Sometimes that makes them go out and act
stray away even more.
When you handle discipline that way, when you're cussing them out, beating them or whatever, sometimes I feel like that pushes them to go out and do crazy things. So that's not always the answer. And I think people need to understand that beating your child, cussing them out, is not always the answer. And a lot of times they get immune to the crap anyway. So if you're sitting there cussing them out, it gets to the point where they're so used to it, it's nothing to them. So it's like, what's the point? And then they just go out and treat people the same way.
It's a lot of children that has been raised in a household of their mother cussing them out, get the F over here, you bitch ass, da-da-da-da-da. Growing up and hearing that, that's traumatizing to a child. And it also affects adulthood.
Self-esteem, that affects their self-esteem and everything.
Yeah.
So you got to be mindful how you talk to your children as well. And you speak things into existence. I know a lot of times you just say anything out your mouth when you're mad at your child, but you can't say, or you're this, or you ain't going to be nothing but this. Sometimes you have to be careful what you say to your child.
Or, they bashing their dad. You just like your father, or you just like your mother. Children take that. They suffer when they're. That's verbal abuse. That's verbal abuse.
Should age matter? So when your children go out and they decide to commit a crime, does the age matter? A 10-year-old versus a 17-year-old? Because we all know that 17-year-old definitely knows better. They be doing what they shouldn't be doing. They've been here longer, so they know. Versus a 10-year-old that they've been here long, but not long enough to, I guess, make the decision on whether or not they want to commit a crime. Or not long enough to know what's right and wrong. But I don't know. I'm sorry. To me, age don't matter. I feel like by the time you're 5, you know the difference between what's right and wrong. Me personally. You can comprehend when you see stuff and when things happen around you what is right and what is wrong, whether you're 10 or 17. I know a lot of people might say if something happens when somebody's 5 years old versus 17-year-old, then the parents should be more penalized depending on age. But obviously, if it's a 5-year-old, the parent probably has to be penalized. They're not putting the 5-year-old in jail, or they're not putting the 5-year-old away. So you probably will be more penalized if they're younger. Versus a 17-year-old, they can do their own time.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much case-by-case basis. As far as the 17-year-old, he'll be probably, charged as an adult versus a 10-year-old probably be in the juvenile system. So it's a touchy situation. This depends on, what crime that they committed. Because a 10-year-old, they're just following, they're being brainwashed or being told to do it.
No, sometimes they're the leader.
Yeah, that too.
These kids smart.
That too.
These kids are smart.
That too. So it just depends. I think it's just, case by case basis of the severity of the crime that they committed, how they should be charged, 10-year-old versus 17-year-old.
But going back to the mental state, like you said, I think in any case where a child is committing a crime, I do feel like their parents should go to some sort of counseling with them. A parent should be present. I don't feel like a kid should have to go to counseling by themselves. A parent should go to try to see what's going on and to see what they can do better as a parent to maybe help them change for the better.
Yeah.
I definitely think therapy is the way to go when something like that happens.
Yeah. Absolutely.
How do we separate bad parenting from kids making their own choices? We all know parents, we all know someone that has a child that was raised in the best environment. Parents, A1, did everything they needed to do. We know parents like that. But their kid is totally a mess. They going out doing this, getting locked up, doing everything that they shouldn't be doing. They're doing it. Do you call that parent a bad parent, even though you know that they literally did their best with this child, and probably better than a lot of parents, but their child still went and did something that they knew they shouldn't be doing, committing crimes, cutting school, fighting, doing everything that's negative? But this parent, you look at their parent is the complete opposite. Their parent is a good person, good character, go to work every day, volunteer, to help the homeless. Like it's parents that's like this, that does all this stuff, and their children is heathens.
Yeah, I for me,
it has to be some separation.
Yeah, it has to be some separation. You shouldn't treat a parent a certain way, because their child went out and did, especially when their parent is a good parent and did all they could do and make sacrifices to make sure their kid is cool, teaching their children, teaching them right from wrong. Sometimes it's just not the parent's fault. It's just not.
Now, if the parent is not present, a lot of times this is where the crimes get committed, because it could be like a child that's living with their grandparent because their parents are not able to take care of them. They stay with their grandparents, and a lot of times they come troubled. So it's nothing that the grandparent can do, and they just go out and do whatever. And a lot of times it's because they don't have their parents. They need attention, so they go out and they do anything to get attention. So we gotta get in the habit or make it the norm to give our kids all the attention that they need, because like I said, when we're adulting, we have responsibilities, so it's hard to do everything that we are responsible for and give our kids all the time that they need. So sometimes you gotta just make the time.
Yeah.
What would you say the pros and the cons are of parents being penalized for their children committing crimes? I would say one of the pros would be that the parents would definitely just know that they have to do whatever is needed, whether it's counseling, therapy, or whatever the case, to make sure that their kids don't commit these crimes again. So that would be the pros of it, to seek counseling.
And I would say the cons would be, the parents would get charged. Depending on the severity of the crime that the child did, paying fines, penalties, and things of that nature. That can be the cons towards it.
Yeah, I will also say a con would be just a parent. Like I said, they have a lot of hats. They have to be the parent. They have to be the provider. They have to be. They do a lot as a parent, and obviously if they get punished or penalized or arrested, how are they going to do that? Like, how can they do that for the other children if there's other children? If they're being penalized, then are they not able to take care of the other children because they've been penalized for one child? So that would definitely be a con. They shouldn't have to leave their other children because one of their children are committing crimes or out here acting like they don't have any sense.
I agree with that.
Does punishing parents actually prevent juvenile crime? I don't think so. Let's just say that a parent does get arrested for something that their child did. Where's the child? And if the child has the mentality to commit crimes, do the parent keep getting arrested every time they commit a crime? Because at some point, the child should know, okay, this is not it. This is not what I should be doing. Does the parent consistently get arrested because their child is consistently committing crimes? Who is that fair for? Because why should the parent, again, have to be penalized for something that a child that knows better is doing? The child can sometimes they gotta fall flat on their face. Sometimes they gotta get to the point where they're like, okay, this is not it. I need to do better. And sometimes they gotta get in trouble long enough to figure it out. But the parent should not be penalized. In my opinion, the parent shouldn't be penalized. And like I said, it is a few cases, like I said earlier, that they should be penalized if it's something that could have been prevented. But if you're raising your child right and doing what you're supposed to do as a parent, and they still decide to go out and commit crimes, then they should be doing the time.
Yeah, look at that. What does that solve? That's not going to solve anything if your child has their own mental state of what they want to do. They have their mindset on, hey, I want to go out here and just be on a crime spree. You can't continue to, charge a parent in any way if their child has their own mind wanting to be out here to be a criminal. So,
and to me, it's just not fair.
It's not.
It's just not fair because there's a lot of good parents out here that just doing their best, and their best is just not enough for their child. So the child still decides to go out. So it's not fair. Granted, it is some parents out there that's not doing their job. Yeah. But they're, in those cases, kids know better as well. They know what they should be doing and what they shouldn't be doing. And I think, like, even going to court, they go by the circumstances, like what's going on with the child, the behaviors, living arrangements, because it could be anything. They could be on the streets. So, like I said, it's certain circumstances where it would be a little different, but ultimately, I don't think the parent should be penalized.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Hot topic. Okay, so today our hot topic is going to be that Rihanna, they finally had their girl. They had 2 boys. They're on their 3rd child, and her name is Rocky Irish Mayers. Congratulations to Rihanna.
Yes, congratulations.
So yeah, I really love their relationship. It seems like everything is going in the right direction. Daughter is beautiful. So just congratulations to them.
Yeah.
And is there anything else going on in the industry that we need to tell our people about? Other than that, nope, that's it.
That's it.
Okay, well, that's hot topic.
Hot topic. My final thought is, parents should be held accountable only if they condone in their children's criminal behaviors. Okay, but kids must also own their own choices and be held accountable for the things that they have done. It's not fair for a parent to have to suffer because of their kids' bad choices.
And my final thought would be, at the end of the day, holding parents accountable for their children's crimes raises a bigger question. Are they solving a problem or shifting the blame? True prevention comes from community, schools, and parents working together, not punishment after the fact.
I agree.
So that's my final thought. That's our final thought. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Also, if you have any advertisement that you would like us to promote, you can send us an email at browninthecity@gmail.com. Also, you can go to our Instagram page and follow, please. Brown in the City Podcast on Instagram.
Yes, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Brown in the City.
And please like and comment, because we would really like you guys' feedback.
Yeah.
We do see you guys watching, but your feedback is really important. So
Absolutely.
we can see if there's something that we need to do, something we should be doing better, or something we shouldn't be doing that you feel that you want to share.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you for tuning in.
Have a good night.